It's the Score North Twin Show.
All right, a little bonus quick hitting Score North Extra Innings on the Score North Twins YouTube channel. Ross Brendel and his Taco Cat, because Taco Cat spells backwards, is Taco Cat.
Taco Cat, yep.
I said it's very Bill Walton-like.
You know, it
Bill
kind
Walton.
of is. And my hair's getting a little Bill Walton-esque,
Yeah.
you know, just kind of doing what it wants to do, so...
Next thing you know, I'm going to walk by Ross's office and the Grateful Dead's just going to be blaring. He's going to be hotboxing it. It's just going to be, he's going to turn to Bill Walton overnight.
Just eating Cherry Garcia ice cream. I'm not a cannibal. Yeah, there we go. Well, this is off to a great start, Declan.
Off to a roaring start, always is in the Score North Twin Show. Hit the like button, subscribe button. We've had a surplus of new viewers and new subscribers just in the last few days. Royce Lewis tends to be a lightning rod for conversation, so thank you. And the reason we're jumping on is because Royce Lewis is officially back. Never get news till the press release releases, right, Ross? But the Twins finally send out the official press release. Royce Lewis reinstated. He obviously missed the last 58 games with the Twins. Edward Julian went down. He was the casualty to bring back Royce Lewis up. We talked about that with Trevor Plouffe, which you can also find on this feed and YouTube channel. Trevor knocked back some old fashions, Ross, yesterday in New York.
Really?
He's with the team to do the Bally's broadcast for those who can watch. So he
Must be
he
rough
sat
for those who can watch, by the way.
he sat in the hotel bar and got a little bit of an insight on the Julian decision. Go check that out. Kind of some nice little new information that we haven't heard about that decision. But Ross, what are your thoughts here? Royce Lewis coming back, and I know we're gonna be walking on eggshells because the guy has had his injury history. But overall vibe, this team has kind of survived and treaded water above the water without him. Now they get him back. Like, is this the missing ingredient that hopefully, if the Guardians ever lose a GD ball game, is this the missing ingredient that puts the Twins maybe back near the top of the AL Central?
Well, I think what's so interesting about this entire thing, Declan, is literally just the parallels to last season where Royce Lewis missed a similar amount of time, joined the Twins at a similar time of the season, and the team took off. I would largely say so far this year, aside from one really bad stretch where they lost, 7 in a row and limped to start the season, kind of an extended, I guess, spring training malaise that they were in. By and large, I feel like the team has been pretty solid. Every team's going to have off days. But I'm really, really looking forward to having his professional at bat back in the lineup, assuming health and that he'll play the rest of the way. We've talked about this, Declan. He instantly comes into the lineup and is maybe not your best hitter, although you can argue that he probably is, but he probably takes the best at bats on the team, and that trickles down to other people in the lineup. It also helps other guys in the lineup just see what a pitcher is throwing that day, what he has, what he doesn't have. And I think that's one thing that this lineup's been missing. Is he the piece to push them over the edge towards the top of the American League Central? I don't know, Declan. I think time will tell. I don't think this Guardians... I think the Guardians are good. I think the Guardians can win the division. I don't think it's sustainable for them to, like you said, Declan, win a game basically every GD day. At this point, you just assume that they're going to win every day, and if they lose, it's house money. So I'm looking forward to having him back. I think, you mentioned lightning rod, and I think that's in a good sense. He's just fun. You want him in your lineup as a fan when you go to Target Field. You want to see him playing. So this is good for the Twins. It's good for the fans, and I'm looking forward to it. And Declan, you're going to another House of Horrors for Minnesota Twins.
Yeah.
And winning a game or two against the New York Yankees with Royce Lewis back in the lineup. I'm assuming he'll probably, Declan, play 2 or 3? I'd imagine he's not going to play all 3.
Yeah, it's probably safe.
If you can win 2 of these 3 games, boy, that would be great. But by and large, Declan, you've talked about this before. Aside from Royce Lewis, you've talked about this a lot. Just go look competent when you're playing these games. This is a good team that you're likely to see in the playoffs, and I do believe that the Twins are going to get there. So let's start acting like a playoff team, and Royce Lewis should help with that.
Yeah, so on the Guardians front, the Twins have won 9 of their last 12 games after snapping the 7-game losing streak. That winning stretch of games started on May 21st. That was 2 weeks ago. And the Twins have gained all but a half game on the Cleveland Guardians. which is incredible. And Cleveland, to your point, Ross, Cleveland's good. Cleveland is not just, I don't believe that this is a 27 Yankees team. I do believe there's probably going to be some regression to them. I didn't have them pegged as nearly 20 games over 500 by the time June rolls around. And then if you continue to win games like this is, typically it takes care of itself. But on Royce, giving them professional at-bats and giving them an edge that this team desperately needs, well, last year, Royce Lewis missed a grand slam, literally one of the best seasons ever with the bases loaded. The Twins this year have 5 hits with the bases loaded in 35 at-bats. 5 hits.
That's
just
incredible.
5 hits in 35 ABs. For more context, the Royals have 16. The Diamondbacks have 14. The Reds have 15. The Pirates have 16. In my St. Cloud State math, 18 of the 30 MLB teams have at least double-digit hits with the bases loaded this year. Only the White Sox, Tigers, and Nationals have less hits than the Twins with the bases loaded. And there would be nothing more therapeutic and I don't know if this is a word, but exorcismal, being more of an exorcism than if Royce Lewis steps in with the bases loaded at Yankee Stadium and parks one that Little League ballpark and just kind of little bit of an exhale there as one of your best player returns and helps you get over something that's been a problem for your team basically all season.
Yeah, or even just work a count, take a professional at bat and hit a single to left or right and not get a couple of runs would be nice. Declan, last year in 239 at bats, Royce Lewis hit, I think, 15 home runs and all those grand slams. So you're also talking about a player who, again, in just one season, is going to hit a home run about 6% of the time that he comes up. And in today's game, that is very meaningful as most teams score a good chunk of their runs off of home runs, including the way the Minnesota Twins are currently constructed. But let's also not forget, Declan, about what he's going to do defensively. We've seen the deficiencies of Willie Castro shine through. Just the fact to be able to get a guy back in the field where he can play his position almost every day, and you have to use less of those utility players, who, by the way, Willie Castro's a good player. I'm not saying that he's not, but he doesn't play shortstop like Carlos Correa. He doesn't play third base like Royce Lewis. So just having him have to field less balls out there is also an overall net positive, and probably not something we talk about enough when it comes to Royce Lewis. I think initially we did, but then we all got hung up on how good of a hitter this kid is and how professional he is. But let's not forget about what he does taking away runs from other teams when they are at the plate. And I'm looking forward to having that defense back. Big if, Declan, if you're telling me the left side of my infield is Carlos Correa and Royce Lewis, we're going to save a lot of runs and win a lot of ball games. So let's hope that those two can stay healthy for the duration here of the summer. Declan, there's still 4 months of the season left. Little less than 4 months. I don't want to say the Twins are fine. They'd obviously like to be 6-7 up on everybody and not chasing the Royals and Guardians, but there's still so much season left. We're not even at the All-Star break. Again, as long as they can just keep chipping away, they're going to be just fine.
So what are your thoughts here, though, Ross, on Jose Miranda? So Miranda's bat has obviously been a big part of the Twins' resurgence, and he's not an ideal third baseman. I feel like he held his own there to a degree. I mean, are you okay with him DHing here? Like, I feel like the Twins have now a lineup problem, in a good way, by the way, of how do they fit all of these corner guys and other players that still deserve at-bats here to a degree. Are you okay with maybe Jose Miranda maybe like having to be on the bench maybe a little bit less than he was supposed to be? Like the whole dynamic of how they fit Miranda there, and maybe he spells some time at first base and DH too. And to your point, like, does Royce only play 2 of 3 here, maybe 2 of 3 in the field, and Miranda's back at third base? Like, it's kind of weird, but as much as this lineup has been so inconsistent, and we just detailed the problems with bases loaded, they have a conundrum on their hands, because how do they now fit everyone in here in 9 spots in a batting order? Yeah,
and a guy who, since returning to the big club, has hit very well. I think you hit the nail on the head, Declan. I think, obviously Edouard Julien went down, but if they thought that they couldn't get Miranda appearances pretty much every day, at least at the plate, he maybe could have been that guy. So my hunch is, to your point, maybe you see him spell Santana a little bit at first base. He's probably still going to get some time at third base. Maybe him and Royce are, I guess, swapping out who's DHing and who's not. I think you have to find the comfort factor with both of those guys, though. Not everybody loves to DH. They want to be in the field and hit. But I think they're going to find a way to get Miranda in the lineup almost every day. He'll probably get 1 day off a week, maybe 2. But anything more than that, I would argue, why is he here? He should probably just be getting consistent at-bats back in AAA. So I think that's what's going to happen, Declan. You've even mentioned, could Royce Lewis play second base on occasion? I don't know. Maybe you've done some digging on that. My hunch is the Twins probably don't want to mess with him and just let him play third when he's in the field. But Miranda's going to get his at-bats. And Declan, to your point, let's be honest, they have to give him his at-bats because he's been one of their better hitters the last month or so. So I'm not so worried about that. I think where it starts to become an issue is if you can't find at-bats for him, and then maybe you're swapping him back out, not by a fault of his own, but just because I think he wants to be in a lineup every day. You'd rather be in one at the big club, but if they're going to leave him here and sit him on the bench 3-4 days a week, that's not good either. So we'll see. I've mentioned this before, Declan. Right now, it's a bit of a logjam. Sometimes these things take care of themselves, not wishing injury upon anybody, but sometimes these things take care of themselves in the coming days and weeks. Let's actually hope that that's not the case, because the Twins seem to constantly be fighting injuries, but they'll find at-bats for Jose Miranda, and what leads me to believe that they will is why he's still here.
So obviously the Twins will throw Bailey Ober in game 1. They have Chris Paddock in game 2. Pablo Lopez, who spun a really good start together on Friday after kind of struggling out the gate a little bit. Do you still feel pretty good about these starting pitchers? And I keep saying this, Ross, knowing the fact we're playing 3 games in New York where the Twins have played like a 62 Mets team over the course of 162 games. Do we feel okay in that Little League ballpark? Also, we just mentioned Royce Lewis putting baseballs out of the seats, but do we feel okay about this pitching staff having to go against a Yankees team and Judge and Soto, who are probably going to finish 1-2 in MVP voting? How comfortable are we feeling with the Twins pitching staff in New York?
I love that you asked this question, because I was actually going to phrase this same question back to you. How do you feel, not even about the 3 guys you just mentioned, but the entire staff in general when it comes playoff time? I think I trust Pablo Lopez. Not think, I know. We've seen him last year in a juice box ballpark, no pun intended, with the artist formerly known as Minute Maid Park. So I think he can be fine in the right scenario against good lineups in a park that lends itself to mashing at the plate. Boy, these other guys, especially Paddock, I don't know. Like, I don't love these matchups, Declan, but also I would tell you, I don't think many teams love their matchups going into Yankee Stadium to take on that team. Bailey Ober, I mean, you throw out the Kansas City Royals, he's largely been fantastic this year, which is, I mean, his ERA would almost be spotless if he didn't have those bad sores of games against the Royals. So overall, Declan, I think I'm generally positive, but this is where the negative part in me comes out. This feels like a series. If the Twins just win a game, you kind of wash your hands and say, okay, well, we'll try and get him again in the playoffs if we see him, because who knows what both rosters would look like at that time. But yeah, I don't love it, Declan, but I also continue to believe it's not a horrible rotation. It's just not a great rotation. But I think most teams in Major League Baseball, aside from 5 or 6 teams, would say the same thing about their staff. So I want to turn that question back to you. You're around the team now a heck of a lot more than I am. What do you think of these guys, and what do you think? They'll all say every game is the same. Game 1 matters as much as game 162. Game 60 matters as much as game 120. But when you go into Yankee Stadium, I feel like it just means more. And I don't know if players will actually tell you that, but I think it does. Do we trust that these guys can have big starts and big spots? And then, oh, by the way, Declan, do we trust that the lineup, even in a juice box, can put enough at-bats together to score some runs?
So I think the starting rotation has actually kind of exceeded our preseason expectation in a very weird way, like with Pablo Lopez. Traditional stats struggling a little bit, but peripherals and others kind of advanced metrics suggest there's a better pitcher in there. I know Joe Ryan got hammered in Houston for 4 home runs, but in general, he has taken a big step forward. Bailey Ober just has a couple bad blemishes, don't get me wrong. I can't really gloss over them completely, but outside of that has been damn near spotless. And Chris Paddock, I think, has been exactly what you hoped for from Chris Paddock. Like, there wasn't. I know the Twins brass was very high on him this offseason, and maybe even talked him up, not incorrectly, but hyped him up to a degree where I think people thought maybe there's gonna be something more. I think Chris Paddock has been exactly as advertised. And then Simeon Woods Richardson has been phenomenal for them.
Yes.
I mean,
Yep.
He came up and had to make a spot start and basically earned his way to staying here long term. And now all of a sudden he's getting outs, being very effective too. Now, come playoff time, like it's different when you look up and down a rotation over the next 5 days compared to like if this was a playoff series and you're in New York, which honestly, again, very likely to happen. I don't love it, but I definitely think it's a lot better than we thought it was going to be. Will they make an addition here? I don't know. We'll see what the price is. We'll see who's even available. Who do they want to part with, or who is someone that pushes everyone down a peg where it makes your rotation a little bit deeper? And I guess offensively, yes, I think Royce Lewis's presence just kind of makes things a lot better. And maybe guys like Carlos Santana, Kyle Farmer, Manuel Margot are eventually pushed out of here a little bit, and those veterans who haven't lived up to their expectations. But I just think Royce Lewis's presence alone makes that lineup just breathe a sigh of relief. That's what happened last year when he came back. The lineup kind of turned things around and turned to a top 10 one in baseball. So that's kind of where I'm at with this club, Ross. They begin, they have 6 games still left on this road trip, 3 in New York, 3 in Pittsburgh. But if they can come back home, yeah, to your point, if they can take 3 of these next 6 games and just stay 500, and then they have, I believe, their longest homestand of the season to date against Colorado, Oakland, and Tampa Bay, then I think you're feeling pretty good by the time they come back home here to Target Field next week.
Yeah, I think that's my number, Declan. If you already have 2 in the bag, you won 2 out of 3 from Houston. If you can come home from this road trip 5-4 on one year, is it the longest road trip of the year? One of them? Do they have one longer than 9 games? I guess I don't even know that off the top of my head.
I don't know off the top, but it's one of their longest ones for sure.
Regardless, you're still gone with an off day for almost 2 full weeks, at least a week and a half. So I think that's my number. Just look competitive and look functional in New York, which the Twins often haven't when they play New York anywhere, aside from last year when they won the season series. So I think winning 2 out of 3, at least 1 out of 3 from the Yankees, is absolutely imperative. Here's my quick hitter for you, Declan.
Okay.
And I think there's only a couple of answers here, but I want to see where you go with this. What is your least favorite ballpark in Major League Baseball? You don't have to have been to it, but and I'll phrase it to you this way. I got a couple in the National League too, but I genuinely do not enjoy watching baseball games that have stupid short perches or whatever you want to call them, where all you have to do is hit a fly ball that the hitters oftentimes think is a fly ball out and it's a home run. Specifically, I'm thinking of Houston and New Yankee Stadium. To a degree, you can put Boston and the pesky pole in there, and also whatever we're calling where the Reds play now. The home runs fly out of there like crazy. I do love the uniqueness that every baseball park is different, but I also think you should legitimately have to hit a ball high, hard, and far to hit a home run, not a lazy fly ball that lands in the seats. So Houston and Yankee Stadium to me are infuriating ballparks. Can't stand them.
Yeah, Yankee Stadium's up there just because, my high school field just not too far from here at St. Paul Central has a deeper porch than that does. Like, that to me is mind-blowing. That right field. In high school, it's harder to hit a home run there at Tony Stone Stadium than it is at Yankee Stadium. Like, to me, that is absolutely crazy. And then conversely, like, I don't love the Oakland. Like, why? And that is his own conversation as it is. But like, why is there so much damn foul territory all over the place? Like, what is this space? Why is there a whole ballpark's worth of foul territory just around? I don't love that. I haven't been to Wrigley since they redone it. I do want to go back to Wrigley. And I haven't been to too many ballparks, unfortunately, and I have a lot on the list that are high up there. But yeah, I don't love the short porch, and I just don't love excess space. Like, I don't understand why we have in Oakland so much damn foul territory.
Well, Oakland won't be a problem much longer unless,
Yeah.
of course, after 3-4 years, they return to Oakland in a new stadium. Maybe that'll still happen. But
True.
I'm with you. I figured there weren't a ton of answers, but I just wanted to get your take. I know people love them, and if you're in New York or if you're in Houston, you probably love your stadiums, as you should. But from a fan just watching on TV, and I would say it's the same for when the Twins get one of those home runs. It's just, to me, that's not baseball. To me, it's the only word that comes to mind is come to mind: stupid and dumb.
Oh, and let me say,
which also describe me.
Let me say too. I know there's nostalgia, and I have nostalgia to it. I don't miss the Metrodome at all. I don't miss it one bit. Okay, like cool. There was Dollar Dome dogs, and the air blew you out when you left. It was a piece of crap. It was a horrible stadium. Nostalgia's the worst drug. You have a beautiful ballpark at Target Field.
Yeah.
I don't care, and I'm glad there's not a roof on it. It's one of the best bars in the Twin Cities. It's a great atmosphere for a baseball game. You don't miss the Dome. You miss your childhood. You miss your nostalgia. The Dome should have been blown up. I'm glad it was blown up. I just wanted to project it and get that off my chest.
Well, I know this is going to be blasphemy to a lot, but Declan, I also don't particularly enjoy Wrigley Field. Unless you're 4'7", 95 pounds, nothing is comfortable in that stadium.
Ugh. Yeah, it sounds brutal. That sounds brutal. I'd love to get back. I went there in 2011. That's the only time I have been there, but high on the list to hopefully go back.
Twins will be back there shortly, so you can go.
I hope so. Yeah, I think if we get the schedule here for next year, I would love to go there for a game. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. This is Score North Extra Innings. Royce Lewis officially back with the ball club. 3 games against the Yankees, I should say, starting tonight. Evening games too, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So no day game at Yankee Stadium, which actually kind of surprised me, but I guess it's New York.
Yeah. Also weird for a Thursday night, right?
Yeah. And I mean, they're going from New York to Pittsburgh, so it's not like a long commute by any means, but still a getaway game. You'd think you would typically have at least one sprinkled in there. I don't make the rules. I just bitch about them. Hit the like button, subscribe button. This is Score North Extra Innings.